Welcome to Tactical Edge, a brand new podcast from 4th Air Force Headquarters. I'm Shevonne Cleveland with 4th Air Force Public Affairs. Welcome to the show. Hello and welcome to Tactical Edge. I'm Shevonne Cleveland, and here today with me I have Major General Pennington, Commander 4th Air Force, and also Chief Villa, Command Chief's here with us today. How you doing today?
Hey, we're doing
Great,
Chief? Shevonne.
Good, motivated.
Motivated. All right. Well, so we're going to do a little something different here because last time we talked about core values, which is very important to airmen and an important topic. And I listened back to our first podcast, and I was a bit newsy because of my past experience in broadcast, and so I sounded like an NPR, representative and journalist. But I want to make sure that this is relatable and that I am also delivering in a very personable as I can get manner. So we're going to talk fitness, which is a much more relaxed, topic. And the Air Force is going to resume fitness tests as of July 1st after about a year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's a big step. It's major changes. So push-ups and sit-ups are now going to be worth 20 points. I believe the mile-and-a-half run is going to remain 60 points. What does that mean for airmen?
Yeah, well, hey, thanks, Shevonne. And first, let me say, you did great, okay? We'll all learn as we go, and part of the Chief and I's goal with the podcast series is, like you mentioned, direct communication with the airmen with things that are on their mind so they can hear directly from us what it means to us, what we think it means to them. So thanks for your first question. So with the fitness testing starting back up again, ideally, many people have already started kind of training. If you let it go a little bit, for example, I probably did. I let some of my fitness standards go and eating habits go. So, I started back last month. I test in September. And at this seasoned veteran savvy age that I am, it takes me a few months to get ready for the test. So I kind of let some habits slip. So this podcast is about just reminding us we all have a requirement to stay fit and be ready, address some of the changes, things going on, and make sure we're all ready to show our leadership that, hey, we're not just fit to test, but we're fit to fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. What exactly does that mean for airmen here at the 4th or the 4th overall, our wingmen?
Yeah, well, as I alluded to there, it means, hey, we need to think about our daily routines and our daily habits because those are what lead us to success, right? So, hey, if you've not been eating as healthy as you maybe could, or if you've not been exercising regularly, strongly encourage that you get with a fitness professional, a health professional, whether that's your physician or an expert on the base or a resource you have, to talk about a game plan for you based on your current health condition, your current eating habits, and make great decisions with a qualified professional. Don't do these crazy, one-off kind of diets or fitness routines. Okay, it's a thing that's going to take time. So make sure you have a good plan. You're working together as a team, or accountability partner, workout partner, to kind of pair up with and work together to make sure you're fit. So I'd say the first thing is be prepared smartly and professionally, and then just start, right? Wherever you are, just start.
Right. Now, the new fitness standards also align with the Air Force Chief of Staff's action order that was released back in August 2020. And it's accelerate, change, or lose, which pretty much describes the view of the strategic landscape as Air Force Chief of Staff, and from that his emphasis on why change is necessary. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, having spent a little bit of time with General Brown in a couple different forums and Chief Bass, really respect his approach here on accelerating change. That means, hey, hearing and listening and responding. So, one of the recent quotes he just put out was, we're moving away from a one-size-fits-all model when it comes to fitness testing. This is a very wide departure from past practices. The chief's going to get into some of the details and other things they're looking at experimenting with, but I think what the chief and CMSgt are acknowledging is that, hey, we need to find a way to test this force that works for our entire audience and our entire population. And maybe the one-size-fits-all wasn't the optimum approach. So he's changing, and we will change, and we will respond accordingly. And I think what we owe the boss is our commitment to pass. To be, like I said, fit to fight and strive towards that in whatever final state the testing looks like in the future.
Okay, one of the major changes was the waist measurements. How do you think that's going to affect upcoming physical physical fitness test.
That's actually been a very popular change, if you will, for the longest time. And one of the things that I think it's important for us to highlight, sir, is most importantly, our leadership, our senior leaders are listening, right? They hear us. They take very seriously the concerns and the feedback that they receive from our airmen, our teammates across the enterprise, across our Air Force. And that was one of the things that continuously came up. Was it fair to have a specific waist measurement when some gentlemen or some ladies are built a certain way because of exercise or their exercise routine, what have you? Was it necessarily fair? So obviously our senior leaders and teams, fitness working groups listened and had those conversations, and the waist measurement is something that has now gone away. And that scoring criteria has changed, like you mentioned. So very popular for most. Now I will say there's some teammates who are concerned about that. Professional appearance is key, but that's where it's imperative that us as supervisors, as leaders, continue to monitor that, have those conversations. If we feel a teammate might be struggling or having some challenges with looking presentable and professional in uniform.
Okay, and so what does that look like for the everyday airmen staying current with their standards?
So although it's, if I may, sir,
Yeah.
although it's a requirement for us as airmen to maintain fitness compliance and pass our fitness test, most important, the message to drive, I believe, and I know listening to Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Bass, is maintaining a healthy way of living. Yes, it's a requirement for us as airmen, but most importantly, it's a healthier or a healthy lifestyle that we should be maintaining for our own good, the good of our loved ones, so we can be around for much longer.
Yeah.
So that's what we're really trying to focus on. Again, although maintaining currency and current and passing scores in fitness is key and important, more importantly is maintaining a healthy lifestyle.
Hey, Chief, I just want to build on something you touched on there about change. It was specific to the waist measurement, but excited we went back to the 5-year increments versus the 10-year increments, right? So I was one of those guys. I was looking forward to hit the next age bracket.
That was me too,
right
sir.
when it changed. I had to wait
Yes.
5 more years to get a break. So, hey, a few more seconds on the run and a couple other push-ups and sit-ups working to my advantage now because I'm in a 5-year tier versus a 10-year. But some of those little victories along the way, are kind of fun and inspirational.
Yes, sir. That was the only time I look forward to a birthday, is so I can get a little extra time on my run, if you will. And it's amazing, sir. Sometimes we lose sight of this. Is as teammates, as airmen, we're all great at certain things, right? We're SMEs at certain things, but I will tell you, I'll be honest, sir. Fitness is not necessarily my strength, so I have to work at it. I have to practice for 4 months, whatever that may look like, in order for me to be successful. Because again, it's not my strength, but it's extremely important. And a little bit of anxiety that comes with that as well. The moment you put test in front of it, I'm a whole different person than just getting out there and running 3 miles on just a regular day when the word test is not in front of it. And a lot of our teammates suffer from that anxiety piece, if you will.
Yeah. So, and Ms. Shevonne, I don't know if it's in your questions there, but Chief, when you get to some of the things they're experimenting with, maybe you can touch on that rumor of the practice test.
Yes,
or
sir.
whatever
Mock
that is.
testing.
The mock testing. Yeah, that's correct. So, hey, thanks, Chief. Shevonne.
Yeah, speaking of which, I know COVID did a doozy on a lot of us. We shut down gyms and all that. What's your routine looking like these days, sir, Chief? What's your workout routine looking like?
The boss has a better routine than I do at the moment. I'll let you start, sir.
Hey, don't kid yourself. I time this podcast when I know I'm on it, right? So I can brag up what I'm doing, right? But hey, like I mentioned, I recognized a few months ago my test would be 4 months in the future, and so I just did a self-assessment. Went, hey, let me just kind of do my trial run here, and I was like, hey, I'm not as good a shape as I thought. So I have this little 8-week to 5K regimen that I do. Starts out week 1. 1 minute run, 2 minute walk, repeat 10 times. Then each week it kind of tunes it up a little bit. So, my kids say, hey, Dad, how's the run going? I said, well, in reality, it looks more like not stopping more than it does running sometimes. But the point is, I'm out there. I started gradually. I did the first week's workout, almost 2 or 3 weeks. This month, I'm just doing the 1 week of the workout for the entire month. So I'm building up gradually over time because, one, I think I get injured a little faster. I'm a little bit more sore, don't heal quite as fast. So maybe it's more like 12 weeks to a mile and a half. Maybe that's a little more accurate description of what I'm doing. But the point is, I'm out there 3 or 4 times a week, staying steady. And when I'm out there running around perimeter road out in the wind and I'm by myself, I'll tell you what runs through my mind more than anything else is, one, I want to stay healthy and active for a long, healthy life. But number two, right behind that, I picture 34,000 airmen watching me out there, and that keeps me from not stopping, right? Because I'm trying to be the example. Yeah. So I just ask you, hey, is fitness is your strength? Great. Put your arm around a wingman that needs a little bit of help, like you said, Chief. Hey, if it's not your strength, just realize we all know that. We all have to work at it. And I think our leadership is trying to find a way to, one, make sure we're fit to fight at the same time, being accommodating to the different body types and styles and strengths and weaknesses of our members.
Absolutely, sir. And like you mentioned earlier, getting started is definitely the kicker, right? Once you get started, you're on a roll. So I was on a roll a couple of months ago. I need to course correct now, but I was hitting the track, and here at March Air Reserve Base, I'll tell you, you get out there in those C-17s and tankers fly. Man, you talk about getting pumped up and reflecting on the 34,000 airmen that are relying on us to lead by example, right, sir? But so I was doing 2 miles on the track, and then when I would get home, I'd do Peloton for 20 to 30 minutes. Wow. So I was on a roll.
Oh my
goodness. I was feeling it too. I was feeling good, and then, like I said, I kind of fell off, and I need to course correct and get back on. But it feels great. I mean, it's just the right thing to do for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there are rumors of a different change within the fitness standards. You want to touch on that, Chief? Or
Absolutely. And to your point, Shevonne, earlier you mentioned that, COVID kind of stalled things a bit. And yes, that was a reason for us not resuming fitness testing early. But also we wanted to make sure that those changes were approved and they were implemented before we got started again. So I think we went about things right. And here come next week we'll get started again. So waist measurement, like you mentioned, was one of the biggest change there. Well, I will share with you that's in discussion, and I have to emphasize what is in discussion is, for example, the fitness working group is CMSgt and team, CMSgt 19, BASS, and fitness working groups are having these discussions with regards to, should the 1.5 miles be the only basis for measurement of someone's cardio? Could there be a walk? We used to do a 3-mile walk back in the day and people feel everybody has their own take on whether the 3-mile walk was a good thing, right? So that's in discussion as well. Another thing is push-ups, the style of push-ups. Should it continue to be push-ups? Should it when it comes to sit-ups, part of that discussion, should we allow planks? Should we, as I got my notes here, should we consider crunches, burpees? Again, there's more to that discussion, but more than anything, like I mentioned earlier, our leadership is listening to the voice of our airmen and the concerns and the feedback that they have with regards to fitness. What should that look like? Again, because one size does not fit all, and we want to make sure we're capturing every single one of our teammates. Another point of discussion is fitness testing specific to AFSCs. What will that look like? I know our defenders have a certain test. Our EOD teammates have a certain test as well. That's going on a beta or trial basis right now, and we'll get feedback from that as well. So we're entertaining. We're having a lot of discussions. Again, the fitness working group, and I'm curious to see what those changes will be. What will actually be implemented as these discussions continue. And it looks like 2022 will have a little bit more fidelity on what the next up-and-coming changes for fitness, if they do take place, will look like.
Yeah, Chief, I think one of our unit visits, the EOD team was excited to see how long I could grip the bar that you have to hold. I'd like to say it was 4 or 5 minutes, but it was some fraction thereof. I think 45 seconds to a minute or something I could hold on to that thing without doing any training.
Or if I can put the suit on, right?
That's right. Yeah, you looked great in the gear, Chief. I think I've been the only time I could outrun you, probably.
So for wingmen, for our airmen within our wings, is there a point of contact? Is there someone there representing, fitness in the units?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got their unit health monitor. You've got any of your leadership, your first sergeant, commander, flight commanders. They can point you there. Every wing has a fitness or a health program monitor. And then also some units have some in-garrison medical capability that can at least refer you to the right place. And then whatever civilian provider that you have, like I opened up with, it's important that you get that expertise before you just go and take on some training. I remember first time I started CrossFit training a few years back. All of my friends said, "Hey Jeff, start slow." Because there's movements, and if you don't do them right, you'll hurt yourself. Don't try to swing too much weight. And so I really gradually worked myself up, avoided injury. But that was because we had trained folks with us that were experts in CrossFit, that if you didn't do a movement correctly, they stopped you and said, "Nope, you're not doing that right. Back up." And so we always monitored each other. So, find a good wingman that's knowledgeable, that can be, a partner with you, just like a battle buddy, keep an eye on you, and train together.
And are airmen allotted time during the day, during the work schedule, to work out, to train?
Absolutely, they should be. Now, that can vary depending on mission. Sure, okay. It can vary based on your status. For example, civilians can bring in documentation, so they get up to 3 hours of fitness during the week, no more than 1.5 hours in a single session. Okay. Have it approved by their supervisor. And it can vary. If someone's a bargaining unit employee, they have to look at their collective bargaining agreement, see how it impacts, production, those kind of things. But yeah, so regardless of status, you should be afforded time. I take time 3 times a week out of my schedule. It takes me about 45 minutes to change, go do my routine, kind of come back, recover, probably wait from my desk for an hour, and I do that 3 times a week. Not unreasonable, but again, that can vary by mission, but for sure, you should be able to find a way to do that within your unit.
Okay. And if I may add, sir,
sure.
You mentioned the unit health monitors, and they work very closely hand in hand with our unit's fitness monitors as well. And we have so many fitness warriors within our organizations as well, and they know that, hey, some of our teammates have challenges, or they're just not the best at fitness. That's not their strength, and they're all in to be that good wingman, that good battle buddy, to get out there, and they're professionals, as a matter of fact. Because we're reserve citizen airmen, I mean, we get to capitalize on these professionals that we're serving with in our ranks, and can provide us that professional insight or advice. So, take advantage of those opportunities. I know here in our office, amongst our teammates here, there's competition going on push-ups and sit-ups. So you can make it fun even within your own office space, right? Within your own teammates in the office. And hey, on the hour we're going to do flutter kicks. On the hour we're going to do push-ups. I hear a lot of that in our common area, and the boss leads the way.
And I think it was Westover when I did a unit visit there. There's a couple of squadrons had a pretty good competition going on walks and runs and kind of battle buddy type concepts. So, hey, some folks doing some good things out there, Chief. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good way to build camaraderie also, right? Having kind of the inner office challenges. Absolutely. That's awesome. I think it's awesome. I should get involved with some of that. Go do some flutter kicks here. Us civilians start, get involved. But I think that's all I have today, Chief, and General. Is there any last words? Anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, hey, thanks, Shevonne and team, for putting this together. And again, the idea of these podcasts is just reach directly to airmen. We're just getting started. We appreciate your feedback. That's polite and professional and appropriate on how we can do better, and some of the topics that you want to hear about as airmen. But the Chief and I are kind of starting with the things that are on our mind that we think are important to you, that our leadership is saying important. And when we talk with General Scobie and Chief White about what we're doing, we have those conversations on a regular basis to make sure we are in sync with our leadership, that we're approaching the messaging consistently, and that we're hearing the voices of our airmen responding. So I just appreciate the listeners out there, and we'll continue to get better at these as we go. But Chief, over to you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to connect with our teammates and just genuinely speak and have conversation about, you name it, topic. And we're willing to take any suggestions from our airmen out there that are listening, airmen with the capital A. We'd love to address any concerns or specific topic that you have in mind. But great opportunity to once again talk about fitness as it's getting ready to kick off again next week. And most importantly, hopefully everyone has already started, and if not, get started today. I know I got to get better at it. And as leaders, I think it's imperative that we lead by example. Currency is extremely important for us to be current, and by no means sometimes the messaging, if you will, gets misconstrued. Oh, we got to get 100. You have to score an excellent. Hey, everybody's different. We talked about that earlier. We want you to be successful in passing your fitness test. That is our desire, and for you to be current. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, sir.
No, that's great, Chief. Appreciate your inputs, and thanks, Shevonne, for hosting today.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up. And as the General and Chief said, get out there, get moving. This is Shevonne Cleveland for Tactical Edge. Thanks for listening.